Yay, we are live! Do 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 do.
Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. It's always Wednesday. It's Wednesday somewhere. It might not be here. It might not be there. It might be in a parallel universe. It might be in a parallelogram.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who can
Parallelogram.
tell? All we know is we are here to reconvene to talk about some of the fun stuff that we found going on in the world of Linux. A little bit of show lined up for you today. Bodhi Linux, CLI percentages, a retro hipster palm top,
Yeah, definitely.
and a homebrew Raspberry Pi that might pass our TSA acceptance exam. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Winding down a little bit of pre-show. Jill is doing her duty as a AMD enthusiast, defending our much beloved 7600. So we got that going on. Let's go ahead and get the clock. We're going to do about 10 minutes, and we are going to jump into it. Jill's back, is live. Is Steve up and doing stuff?
Yeah, he's finally back at work. Yeah. The antibiotics have worked tremendously, and he still has sores on his face, but at least he's not so horrible he can go to work, and he's not contagious anymore.
Make him wear a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah.
I'm glad Steve's doing better. You doing all right?
Yeah, I am. I had kind of a hard night last night, but I feel so much better now.
Good,
Yeah,
good,
it was
good.
It was a really creepy sick. It was not a normal cold or flu.
All right, have that together. I got a couple things. I got to do a bunch of stuff this afternoon in here. But it is
Hi, Mir.
our middle of the week. We got those tracks. I'm glad I went ahead and did that last night and got everything swapped out. So that is together. And
Yeah, that was nice. I'm glad we got to play them. Oh, maybe I should refresh. Hi, Justin.
Yeah, your bandwidth is kind of low.
Okay. I was having issues on Sunday too, and I think AWS was down somewhere around here. Okay, so let me exit and come back in, see if that helps.
Let me see if I can get our social medias together as we're all getting ready to run out and buy 4060s and 7600s. The greatest, the pinnacle of gaming technology. What do I need? That looks better.
How's it showing my... it's showing my bars are good. Okay.
Don't need much. As long as we can get about 3 megabits from you, you should be all right.
Now it went down. Huh.
And you will absolutely go to a mushy, pixely mess because that is how I've designed the system to preserve audio at all quality.
Yeah. And that's a good thing.
Because the people listening are like, man, it sounds like Jill's really pixely. Maybe. Probably not. Let's see. Midweek Linux nonsense. Well, I can't spell mid. That's a creative spelling of midweek. MIDWWEK.
Yeah.
Let me do that.
I will be right back. Take a quick
All
break.
right. About 6 minutes. Yeah, looks like it's going to clear up. That's good. All right, let's get that together. Man, I don't even need to get a new charger. You might have one at home. You might just use it. Oh man, here's an update. Batteries. Finally. For this Microsoft keyboard, after maybe 3.5, 4 years, it has a red LED apparently buried under the cover. It started blinking. It went all Cylon on me. A little T1000, T800, I guess. When I came in here this morning. So I finally replaced the 2 AAA batteries that I'd bought replacement batteries for 3 years ago. It took me forever to find them. Some rechargeables. Oh, yeah, I got a pretty good run out of that. Not that I'm in here hammering on this thing day in and day out, but I was like, all right. So that's a couple of years is not bad for a wireless keyboard. Not bad at all. But on that battery topic, I got typically the batteries I use for like little Vapotron type things are called 18650s. They're lithium ion cells. They're pretty big chunky batteries compared to a AA. Well, I have a regulated mod that takes this step up from that, the 21700. So I just went and picked up a 21700 to play around with it. I posted a picture of it in our Discord, and I'm like, this thing is massive. And you need a charger that can charge a lithium ion. Nicor, they're not expensive, like $20, something like that. But this Nicor charger I have, it's just long enough to very gingerly, and by gingerly, I mean borderline force a 21700 into it comfortably-ish. 7 hours to charge one of those things. Man. It does not take 7 hours to charge an 18650. You can usually charge an 18650, I don't know, what, like 3.5, 4 hours, something like that, maybe? Yeah, I don't have anything that eats batteries, man. The closest thing I have that eats batteries is this guy, the Elcom Huge. It takes 2 AA batteries. I had a fight with this thing yesterday. Maybe once a month. Once every 2 months. I got a really weird, weird use case in here because I'm not in here. This isn't like a daily driver PC. So I don't know how long it would last if you were using it day in and day out. Same with the keyboard, but I'm assuming you can get like 2 years off a charge on this Microsoft keyboard, which is good. And, but let's get some rechargeables. AA rechargeables for the trackball. Pop them in. I keep them in this old camera because it holds 2 AA's. That's why it's back there. Does its job. So, yeah, I had to play around yesterday. I'd forgotten. One of the good things about Linux Gamecast, the website is, it's basically a cheat sheet for me for stuff that, I'll forget. And I absolutely forgot how to customize the buttons on this trackball. Playing around with it, I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. And, I got little shell scripts. Like, I got 2 that start up when XFC starts. But with that, I'm just using Xinput to set up the 3D scrolling thing I have. I'm like, And I wanted to turn the page down key into a spacebar press for DaVinci Resolve. And I knew I had to use X-bind keys, but I couldn't figure out like the steps to get X-bind keys to work. So I had to reverse engineer that a little bit. And we ended up with, you got to put it in your X-bind keys dot file in your home directory and like modify that. It worked for the most part. After about 30 minutes, I celebrated. That seems like multi-step. I wonder, does anybody make a mouse that is easy to customize the keys? you know? Because that's an involved process. You know, even knowing the tools that I needed yesterday and like a rough idea of like how I needed to go about it still took me like 30 minutes to get a spacebar mapped to one of the extra keys on the mouse. So I'm wondering, if anybody out there listening, if you know of a company or an application that simplifies that process. Maybe such a thing does not exist. It is only legend. Because let's face it, an Arch user's never going to be able to figure that out. I love you, Arch users. You know, I'm just messing with you. Sometimes. All right.
Hi, Steve husband. We were talking about you earlier. I told everyone your sores are going away finally.
But you can't have a successful mouse without a bunch of LEDs on it. You gotta have the RGBs on your mouse. That's how you know it's working.
That's cute, Mir. Oh, I'm sorry, Justin. I just got over being sick, but we had something unusual. Not a classic flu or cold. But I had some symptoms of flu and cold.
Food and cold.
Food and cold. Yeah. Steven had a staph infection, and that's no joke. It's kind of serious. If the latest round of antibiotics didn't work, he was going to have to be hospitalized.
Well, at least he stayed on top of it. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to urgent care twice. As soon as he came home from Montana, and the infection in his eye was slightly better. It was still there, but it spread to his face. Like, oh, honey, we gotta go in. And then I was sick. So we both got checked out.
Your new pills are working, Steve. That is fantastic to hear.
Yeah.
Stay away from those old pills.
Yeah. Yeah, the old ones didn't work.
All right. So I think we have everything together. We got Bodhi Linux. Whoa.
Yay.
All right. Hey, who had the wrong focus when they hit Control Tab? Me.
Oh. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
Let's get on the right web browser and hit Control Tab. There we go. We got that. We have that. Don't allow. Ever. No notifications. We have this. And we're going to close out with something I want to call a deck kitty, but it's a dectility. Because that is...
Yeah, I know. And yeah, that's why I called it yesterday a palm top cyber deck. Because he was using the term deck in the name. As opposed to Steam Deck.
Well, the Steam Deck's the ultimate. It's the commercialized. It's the corporate hacker deck.
It sure is. It's awesome.
Made by the man.
Lord Gaben.
The man. The owner. Let's see. We got that. Is there anything else happened today? I haven't really checked in on reality this morning.
I haven't either.
I
usually check the national and world news at night.
Oh, I saw some people that were upset in on the Reddit. Apparently Netflix is like, hey, you can't share your passwords anymore.
Oh, yeah. There's that thing. Yeah. And people posted it in chat, too.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Tina Turner. Oh. So sad. She was an amazing lady.
I guess. It's going to happen to us all.
Yeah. She was a very good singer.
I want to talk, just take a moment before we get started, about all of you peasants out there with your NVMEs, still cooling them with air.
Yeah. Neon Storm.
The new way is you need to water cool your NVMe. And that's what the,
that is
Neon
cool.
Storm does. That's right. No longer do you have to worry about just leaking water into your CPU or GPU. Nay, now you can leak it on your drive, and it looks just like that when you do it. I don't know what that picture's supposed to.
It looks like an ADATA product.
This looks like condensation.
Yeah.
There we go. Project Neon Storm is definitely... Is this going to be a real link? This is Tom's Hardware. You never know. Sometimes it's just a link loop. It's a pretty boring page, Data.
Yeah, it is actually.
Is that all we got? Oh. Hey, here it comes. All right. Oh, that's all we get? All right. Whatever. I'm not reading wall of text.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There we go. Let's get that together. Yeah, I'm not... I think if I water cooled anything outside of just a regular AIO, what would I do? I'd build a custom loop, man. I wouldn't trust... I've seen too many of those kits. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen any of them go wrong, but, you know, you do see those kits. You're like, hey, it comes with a GPU block, comes with a CPU, comes with a reservoir, and, you know, it's a flexible tubing. I just don't know if I trust kits for that. Seems like something I'd try to roll my own, which means I'm not going to do it.
Aw. Thank you, Mac Geek, for resubscribing to Twitch. Or, yeah.
20-month resub.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've taken care of those two things, and we got that together.
That's nice, Steve Hesman. I just liked it to put it in our history.
What are you trying to say, Jordan?
Zero dot.
I don't know.
Diddy dot? Zero dot. Morse code.
Leave some cryptic stuff like that on your next stream, man. Let you wonder about it. Okay.
Hey, Jordan.
It's always fun, man. Like, when you don't get like a prompt reply, I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a wall of text. And like, it's like, nope. And then just the problem compounds on itself the longer the reply takes, because then you got to address multiple things that have been brought up in the intern.
Yeah, this is true.
Fill time from Pop. Ah, man, I look forward to your NeoFetch screenshots.
Yeah. Yay, Justin.
Okay. I think I got everything together. Running as always, we are testing things on Wednesday because that's how we roll. And Jill is suffers from brief bouts of pixelization, but don't worry.
Yeah. AWS outage.
What do you have running through AWS?
Well, no, it's just one of the major, found out on Sunday, one of the major servers that runs AWS from the West Coast to the East Coast has been having issues.
You got anything running on AWS?
No. But it's rerouting stuff, I guess. I don't know.
All right. We're, with the other Dark Overlords, we use Akamai.
Akamai.
You might know them. They power Steam.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Akamai bought Linode.
Yeah, there's not too much out there anymore in like ways of choice. You can do
I know.
AWS and then Microsoft.
Yeah,
Cloudflare
there's
is
not much choice. Yeah.
Yahoo's still a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it exists, but like to what extent? I knew Yahoo Japan's still very much around, but that's a completely different company. Wow, that looks like a Yahoo webpage. You know, you keep doing Yahoo, because that's just as junky as it was in the 90s.
Yeah, it's a little cleaner, but not much.
That was one of the big selling points of Google.
Yeah.
That was something they bragged about up until like, well, awesome. I mean, you know, you just got a search box. You didn't get like a little search box filled with everything else.
Yeah. All the ads and the news and
now, I mean, Google's is just as bad. You know, we were joking about that maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, you do a search for something on Google. What do you got to do? First, you got to go through the first like 5 or 6. It's a mixture of ads and top listicles.
Yeah, you usually go to the second page. So,
which just in the time I've been doing the show, over the past 10, 12, 13 years, I've been doing stuff. Something I used to say, and it was very true, was if you're on the second page of Google trying to win an argument, you've lost.
Yeah.
Because I've been there.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I know I'm right. And you're like on page 2 or page 3, you're trying to find that one person or that one story to collaborate. Usually it's something that you misremembered and you're like, all right, fine. But like now the first page is kind of useless on Google. Because it's always the top 10 stuff. And it's ads. And SEO spam, man. What are you going to do? Use Bing? If only there was another search engine. We're just seeing how long it takes for someone to type DuckDuckGo, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? I can't remember the name of it. I have access to some... doesn't do a good job. It's a paid service. They gave me access to it. It's a no tracking search engine.
I have Ghostery, and that's a very good search engine. They integrated it into, of course, their browser, but that's very good too. I have an account with them. Oh yeah, Cirex is really good too. Yeah, Ralph 9900. Lycos for the win. Web crawler, Lycos.
Okay. Cool. I think we're together. Ready to run. Ready to roll. Cirex. Was a wild guess, some type of self-hosted thing.
Yeah. It's pretty cool too. Works good.
Meta search engine. All right. Pretty cool.
And of course it's open.
Started in 2014. Been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing about all that, when it comes to search, at least these days we have options, and they're all good options.
Yeah, we have lots of good search engines.
You can usually find what you're looking for. Usually. All right. Jill, are you ready to get to this?
Yes, I am.
Alright. There's that. There's that. And let's get that recording going. Let's get that recording going. None of my searches. Yeah. I don't know. I gave up my anonymity. Anonymity. Amonimity. Yes, that's the way to say
Anonymity.
Anonymous anonymity.
Yeah. Anonymity.
You messed it up that time.
Yeah, I did. Actually, it's funny because if you focus on it and you try and say it slow, then you mess up. But if you just say it quickly, then you usually don't mess up.
The second you start thinking about a word, man, I had some streamer I was watching. He was tripping on a word, then I was trying to no, it's just an I was like, man, I'm tripping on it now. We call it the Pedro effect.
Yeah. Aw, no, not animosity, Steve Husband.
What about animosity? All right. Cool, everybody. Let's go ahead, hop into it.
Yeah.
In 3, 2. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux. I know. We talk about things that interest us, that we find fun, partially exciting, sometimes really exciting. This week, no exception. I'm Vince Stone. That's Jill Bryant. Everybody watching us live on Twitch. Hello. Or after the fact, you're watching the VODs, listening to the podcast. We're there in your ears, possibly in your eyes. So me and Jill were having a long, drag down, obscenity-laden fight in the pre-show. Trying to dunk on each other, man. Go back and listen to that if you're a patron. But, yeah, Jill's just like pure Team Red. She's like, hey, we can do no wrong ever. How dare you but smirch and I was like, I don't know. Because, like a lot of you at home, I was paying attention about the 4060 Ti release because I think maybe just more out of curiosity because they did the thing again, right? I say this as somebody with a 3060 12 gig. I was like, that's weird. And I'm like, ooh, 12 gigs, I'm on that. And I have good reasons. It wasn't for gaming. And with the 4060 Ti, they're like, yeah, we're going to make a 16 gig version. I'm like, that's silly. Maybe I want that. And no, I really don't. All the reviews, they're like, it's a Y card. And then AMD finally figured out what day people could release and the embargoes and all that. The 76 series came out and the reviews have come out about that. And Jill's like, you need to go to the authority, Linus, from Linus Tech
The
Tips.
squeaky one.
And you know what? We found 2 benchmarks where the 7600 was able to outperform the ARC A770. And that was my whole point. I'm not picking on any particular card in particular. I'm going, man, just in the entire GPU market as a whole, when you're reminded that the ARC A770 was made to compete against last generation's low end.
Yeah.
And here we are as consumers. I'm thinking about all of us. I don't care what team you're on. Okay? I don't. I'm thinking about us as a whole when I say this. We should be in better shape than this. Because these current products from everyone, they're not moving the needle.
They're just rehashes of last generation.
And it's hard to get excited about that.
Yeah.
It is. And I don't know. Let's just remain ever hopeful and keep our pinky toes crossed that maybe Intel will do something with BattleMage, huh? Something to look forward to.
Yes.
Something to look forward to. So you were Jordan last week.
Oh, I sure was. And thank you, Jordan, for filling in for me last week on LWDW while I was sick. Yes, I was out sick with something very strange. And my Steve husband is also healing. He had something very unusual, which I should probably talk about too much on the show, but he had something unusual. We both had something unusual. But we're over it and we're getting better. Well, we're not completely over it, but we're getting better. Aw. And then I also had fun playing Hogwarts Legacy. I'm a little late to the game on that one, but I finally put down the $60 and got a copy.
So that's what you've been doing past week. Got it.
Yes, that's what I've been doing.
I'm sick. Let me go back to playing my video games.
Oh, Steve Husband said unusual sounds even worse. Well, it was kind of worse than your average cold and flu, so I guess we have that.
I don't know. Steve was on antibiotics.
Yeah, heavy antibiotics.
That's it. I mean, everyone survived. End of story. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Yes, we did.
Any day you get up, you get another shot at it. That's the way I look at it. Speaking of other shots at stuff, version 7.0 of Bodhi Linux is, it's almost out. Not really.
Yeah, it's almost
out. They're thinking
out.
about putting it out.
Yeah, this is the beta. And I wanted to revisit this distro again because I used to run it like full time for a few years. I ran Bodhi, so I wanted to revisit this distro. And it is one of my favorite distros, and there's a new beta ISO ready for testing, Bodhi Linux 7.0, and it's based on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. It uses, actually, and this is what's cool, it used to use just Enlightenment, but now it's using the Enlightenment-based desktop and the Moksha window manager by default, which is actually a fork of Enlightenment and is a bit cleaner and better organized version of Enlightenment. And I think Ven would like it better too.
Well, we got like Bodhi. Let's band together as a team and create Bodhi.
Bodhi. Bodhi. And some of the new features, there's a new Plymouth boot screen and a new login screen theme. And the distro actually now uses a new Moksha green theme and icon set by default, which is actually really beautiful. It's a nice dark theme with grays and greens that matches the green leaf wallpaper. And it looks very beautiful. And that's one of my favorite things about Enlightenment and its forks. Enlightenment is just so classic, beautiful, and retro. And the Moksha theming actually includes lots of improvements, including there's a new key bindings viewer, refactored modules, new window snapping options, and the settings panel dialog has been resized to 600 by 500 by default for easier viewing, which is nice. It used to launch really, really small. And the module tweaks now include the battery module relaying charging status better, the clock module adding date time settings. Yes, we finally have date time settings in the clock module, and the shot module adding copy to clipboard, so you can copy your screenshots to clipboard. And what's really, really interesting about this version, and one thing that got me really intrigued, is that the Bodhi Linux 7.0 beta also ships with a non-snap build of Chromium as the default web browser, but also includes a web browser manager app to install other browsers. And Bodhi has been doing that for years, but I was happy, has been including a browser manager for years, but I was happy to hear that they're bringing in the non-snap Chromium, which is just really cool. And the other unique thing is there are 3 kernel releases available for download. The base ISO actually offers Linux kernel 5.15 LTS as shipped in Ubuntu 22.04 LTS last April. There's an ISO with the more recent Linux kernel 5.19 from Ubuntu 22.10 for better hardware support. And the one I downloaded and had fun playing with, a System 76 ISO that pulls in the Linux kernel 6.2 version used in System 76 Pop! OS. So yeah, I just had a lot of fun, and it was really nice having an more up-to-date kernel. So, and Bodhi Linux actually came out way back in 2011, and I'd been using it way back then. And it has always been a great distro to run on older hardware because it's very memory efficient, and the lightweight Enlightenment window manager is a very lightweight window manager slash desktop manager. Some people now consider it a desktop manager. And it's just a really, really smooth experience. I was really impressed with how quick the install was. I was amazed. And I was actually testing this on a virtual machine, and it installed in like 3 minutes. I was very impressed with that. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and install it as one of my operating systems here on my broadcasting rig when the stable version comes out. So I was really impressed.
Who's it meant for? I mean, it's got enlightenment, so you can't use it as a workstation.
I'm wondering now that it uses the Moksha window manager, Ven, if that would have improved.
I don't think the window manager was what was crashing enlightenment, man.
Oh, okay. Because I know audio was sometimes an issue with the enlightenment audio driver and all that, but it uses Pavu control now as default, which is nice.
Enlightenment, I love you. You're just not stable. All I'll say about that, System 76, that's the weird thing. Yeah, this has been around for a long, long time. I've been, if you watch the video version, I've been playing around with their App Center, seeing what they got. Some of it seems a little bit on the dated side. Some things need to be updated. I'm absolutely going to say, like multimedia production. One thing I'm not seeing in here is KDEN Live.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But we have OpenShot, and that falls into the category of glaring omission because
well,
listen, I'm not a huge fan of any particular one over another, but like if you're going to be doing video editing under Linux, like I'm going to point you at KDN Live because that is the most robust, mature, nonlinear video editor that's open source on Linux, period. There's no but.
Absolutely. Well, that's their web-based app center, which it's just a curated list of some of their favorite software. It's not, thorough. It does, Bodhi, it is based on apt, and it does include the Synaptic Package Manager, so you can download those apps as well from there, or just install an apt install.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, what are we really bringing on top of, and I asked this about everything that's Debian with a body kit on it.
It's a very smooth experience.
Is it more green? Is it more green than mint?
Is it more green? Is it more green? Well, there aren't that many distros actually out there with their bases and with an Enlightenment base. And so for those of us who love the Enlightenment window manager, that's a nice thing. And it's very minimal install. It doesn't have all the extra software. So you have to download that later, which is one of the reasons why it installs so quickly. And it's again, it's like you're installing more
Debian.
like you're installing Debian, but even quicker and lighter. At least on the install.
Faster than a Debian nut install when it's based on Debian.
Yeah.
That's a cool theory.
Yeah, it uses the Ubuntu installer, which is really fast.
So what are you talking about in speed of what? Like base packages? Because it's got a lot more stuff from your base package installed on this than I would on a base Debian install.
Yeah. Well, that's what's amazing about
Debian,
it. I mean,
here's the other problem. Why do you include OpenOffice? Or LibreOffice, I should say. That is because one of the reasons I really like Debian, and I've been running Debian, is it completely stays out of your way. And that's why you see so many projects like Bodhi Linux and, Ubuntu and Pop. They're all based on Debian because Debian got the Debian part right, really, really right, except for LibreOffice and the default install. Like, it drives me up the wall every single time because I deploy workstations and I'm like, why do we have this? Because that is a big, heavy program. And I'm like, all right, whatever. It's great to see. This came from OMG Ubuntu. All the links will be in our show notes.
Yes.
For this. Now, let's get back to the command line because maybe this has happened to you. It's happened to me. Because you think about it. How many times have you run, copy, move, dd, tar, gzip on something big? We're not talking about little. Maybe even medium size. long enough to give you a pause where you go,
Mm-hmm.
so you have a think, what's going on? Because you know what? After 30 seconds, what do? You're going to open up top or something like that. And you're like, maybe look down at your hard drive lead, see if it's making the blinks. Well, there's utility for this. I went looking for it because I was running a very long move operation.
Oh.
And I was like, man, is this, intellectually, you know it's doing something. You do, but
Yeah.
you want that visual
It's
indication.
just sitting there.
Just something. Let me know. I don't care. Just give me a red blinky light, but they can do a little bit better.
Yeah.
With this, because this is going to give you your percentage progress for several of these utilities. Copy, move, DD, tar, gzip, gunzip, cat, you name it. It can help you out. And look at this. Like, something as simple as like, hey, this is how long this is going to take. Here's an ETA. This is brilliant. It's a progress bar. It's probably not as going to be as robust, comprehensive, and accurate as a Windows 95 progress bar. That's a good thing.
And you won't have the little colorful file flying in the folder.
No, I know. I mean, it's criminal. We need a little ASCII file flying across our terminal. But this project was formerly known as Core Utils, and it just takes all the mystery out. Percentage estimates and time. I love it. I use it, and I just wanted to recommend it. I think basically, yeah, this thing's on Fedora, SUSE, Mac OS even, of course, Arch. So, you know, my Pac brothers and sisters can type that in. And Debian. Just right out of the box, plug it in. It works, and it's real simple to use, even though it's a really tiny screenshot. Look at that.
Yeah. Well, I actually originally used this in Debian, but it was in a different name back then.
Core Utils, right?
Yeah, Core Utils Viewer or CV. And gosh, I like the new name Progress because it's easy to remember. In fact, recently I was thinking of installing this utility to see the progress of an ISO copy using the DD command to a flash drive, but I couldn't remember the name of the program to install it. So Progress makes sense.
One thing I want to try this is I talked about this on show maybe last year when, just out of curiosity, this was like one of those like, I wonder if you can do DD over SSH.
Oh, yeah.
It requires some. You should be. Theoretically, you look at it, and like, that should work. You can make it happen. There's some little minor trickery involved, but this is something that because what I ended up doing, I don't have a progress bar for. It's a remote box, you know, and it was just to get a disk image, you know, for automated backup. So it logs into the box, pulls it off. But yeah, having a percentage on that. Talk about things you're like, well, that's a 20 gig drive over SSH. That'll finish when it finishes. Maybe I'll come check on that tomorrow and see if it's done. Yeah, great tool for that. And
yes, absolutely.
Happy to see it. Almost as excited as this next story that caught my eye, because I was like, man, this is like some next level retro nonsense, but it might be useful for some people.
Yeah, I thought this was so cool. Then found it. So in 1981, when the IBM PC was introduced, Bill Gates said that 640 kilobytes of memory ought to be enough for anybody. Allegedly. Supposedly. Allegedly.
I've been... If you're looking for a hobby, go look that up, because, you know, that's something that you hear for the first time and you're like, hey, you really say that? Because that seems like a silly thing to say. And no one's been able to, he flat out denies it, first off. And I'm like, yeah, I would flat out deny it on that. But a couple of websites, larger websites like PC World, they've like tried to track down the origin of it. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. You go read it yourself and check it out.
Yeah. So anyways, that's, you know, what a Chinese PC manufacturer recently built in a mini laptop, which has 640 kilobytes of memory and an 8-bit 8088 4.77 megahertz processor, along with support for an optional 8087 math coprocessor to speed up those math computations. So this new Book 8088 DOS system, that's hard to say, Ben. That's what they're calling it. The Book 8088 DOS system was available from AliExpress for $201 and up, but it actually just recently sold out really quickly. So check back soon for hopefully more inventory. And I'm sure they're going to have more inventory because I think there was only a few hundred in that batch. So what's cool is that it has support for MS-DOS 6.22 and Windows 3.0 or earlier. It would have a hard time running a modern day Linux, that's for sure. So the specs, as I said earlier, it has an Intel 8088 chip, an IBM CGA graphics card, 640 kilobytes of memory, and a 16-color 640 by 200 pixel display. It does have a 512 megabyte compact flash card for storage and a USB port for peripherals, but don't expect to run new software on this little machine. It's especially made to run retro DOS and Windows software, but it also has optional accessories, which include an OPL3 sound card module with our Yamaha sound chip in it, not unlike what some of the Sound Blasters used to run, an ISA expansion card connector, or an 8087 coprocessor. And the system costs, with all these add-ons, $275.
Completely outrageous.
Yes. So honestly, this looks like a fun little computer for running old DOS games and applications, bare metal, without the need to run emulation
What
software.
are you talking about, man? I'm going to put some VMs on there. We're going to... It needs containers.
It needs containers.
We need DOSPot.
Yeah, but it's just so cool to see a company using this old of hardware to make a new laptop. I want to support them.
Great way to keep stuff out of a landfill. I mean, taking some spare stuff, stick it together, and ooh, that'd be neat to play with. And especially when you consider they have a development board over at 8086cpu.com. Look at that. Oh,
look at that.
Got a nice little MS-DOS comp. They like putting their stickers on it. We got the 3 ISA slots. And you're like, oh, let's check it out. You can put the keyboard.
Very cool. You can build it yourself.
Little monitor right there on top. Oh, man. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. Now, outside of just playing around with this, they're like one step off from being able to double the price and not make enough of them. If they put a COM port on this thing, RS-232 port, running
true.
DOS and or like Windows 3.11, because the one CNC machine locally that I'm still allowed to touch, and it's relatively modern, has a DOS laptop because that's the software for the industrial control, and like a lot of stuff's like that. Still like that. There's still old 486s kicking around on factory floors. Something like this, I know people that buy stacks of them just to have them as backups. Maybe look it back in stock. I was looking at the AliExpress thing. It said they sold 119. So
119.
Wasn't a big run. This was like, hey, I put these together, got a nice little run. What I hope we don't see is like round 2 at like $300 or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, but I'm so impressed by this, Ben. This is just so cool. I mean, I actually still have my, original IBM PC from back in 1981 that I can use to run this. But most people don't have those old machines hanging around.
No, this would be like that, but yours full.
Yeah. And it's portable.
It's portable. You can throw it at people. Try doing that with your 1981 desktop.
Yeah. The only thing it needs, and I know you can run. I have floppy
You're going to say
drives.
RGBs, right?
No, actually, I have floppy drives that run from USB. But to have a classic floppy drive would be cool. But yeah, you can just use USB one, but it's still not the same. But yes, RGBs, it needs rainbow vomit.
RGBs, and I want to make a dock for it that holds like a 5 1/4 Bigfoot hard drive. That's going to be about that tall.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it jumps a little bit when it powers up. That'd be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My full height Seagate hard drives from aerospace would be perfect for that.
It'd be great. It'd be
Yeah.
just like it when it gets taken off across the desk.
Or Micropolis. Micropolis is what the Deck Alpha used.
Yeah, it's just a cool design. And it's cheap.
Is.
Maybe they'll come back in stock. Something to play
hoping.
around with. Relive those DOS ages. And yeah, Linux 3.11.62. The Linux. No. I mean, yes, somebody's going to put Linux on it. But
oh, yeah, absolutely. And you can SSH. There's you can use it as a terminal, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's got the ISA expansion card on it. So there's a way, right?
Exactly. It's going to happen.
I think it'll be running Doom with Wi-Fi on it in a
yes.
year. Don't worry about it. So there is that. Before we get into something kind of similar, but not 8080, we're going to talk about one of those fancy new reduced instruction set chips, but in handheld form. I want to thank a couple of people that have joined up this week. We got a little Patreon over at patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. We've got a couple of levels, a couple of things you can do to help out the show. If you want, if you feel like it, it'd be super awesome. We do appreciate it, and it keeps us ad-free and all the other fun stuff. This is brought to you by, I don't have any product to hold up. What would be a good product? Paper, yes. Big Paper. Sponsored by Big Paper. And Vendoodles.
Vendoodles.
Yep.
Hey, that's worth a donation right there.
So, 2 new patrons this week. Want to thank for joining Euthanasia and Graph.
Yay.
Come hop in our Discord. I believe both of them have.
Yes, they have. They have.
Which is always fun to see. I'm like, oh, that's where everybody's hanging out. I'm like, yep, that's where we hang out. Don't tell anyone. And that's where other 6 days of the week they get access to live and uncut versions of this show, MP3 podcast format, and early video versions, early access to things that I like to work on, up to and including.
Ben's getting something out.
I got something out. Look at that.
Ooh.
That is a PreSonus IO Station 24C. So
that's sweet, Vin.
you ladies and gentlemen are going to be taking a look at this before everybody else. I might do a deboxing because I haven't even opened it up. Because KY Lytics, you know him, you love him, been around in the community forever, sent this in. That's why. That took forever to write, my man, because that's purple,
there it is.
and I hadn't used that. And Jill, it ran.
Oh, it did?
It ran, and it took me, I had to write it twice because I wrote it, because it's a liquid shark marker, and you got to shake them up and wait, and I wrote it, and I'm like, I put it on, I'm like, it looks good. And I left, and I came back in here a couple hours later, and it looked all diseased. So I'm like, I didn't do a good job writing that. So I wiped it off and did it again, and I left. Came back a couple hours, like, it did it. Then I clicked. I'm like, oh, it's running. That's why it looks all messed up and squiggly. So I finally got it straightened out. Thank you. No idea if this works on Linux because we do a very, very expensive project. Like we used to have to do in the old days. We had to buy the stuff and find out whether or not it worked on Linux. And we're still doing that in 2023 with audio interfaces because you never know. This one's a little bit special. It's a little bit different than what you would normally have. You might be familiar with control surfaces. That's what these things are over here. But this one has an audio interface built into the control surface. Oh,
that's cool.
And it's got a nice little motorized fader. So if for any other reason, you'll be able to move the fader around with software on your desktop. There you go. Like, how cool is that?
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Kai Linux.
I'm thinking this is going to be a fun one because the kids are playing around with their Go XLRs, right?
Yeah.
The beat buttons. I could probably show you how to make one of those with this. And better yet, you can actually use this as a production controller inside of Audor, inside of Reaper, inside of Bitwig. And it has a lot more uses than a swear button. So stay tuned. Haven't even opened the box. Okay, I've opened the box to make sure there was something in it. I'll go that far, but that's as far as I got. There is the thing inside of it. Thank you very much.
Oh, wonderful.
Kajori. Also, thank you again, Euthanasia and Graph and Mac Geek with a 20-month resub.
Yes.
Thank you for your support. come hang out with me and Jill on Tuesdays and Fridays. We do the Trackmania,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun. And even when we got to swap maps out at the end, but we got everything sorted out. We got a private Trackmania server. It's a game from 2013. It's old. It runs on a potato. You got a potato? Don't worry, man. It's carbs are good. Starch is great for you. And we have a good time with that on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of that is in our Discord Trackmanias and channel. All the bits you need to get started. And Jordan does streams on Thursdays. He's finished Strange Brigade, so we don't know what's next.
Yeah, true. He was talking about Portal 2, possibly.
Possibly. Speaking of Portal 2, we got an update to a very popular, or at least hyper squirrely, Portal mod conversion that we're going to be talking about on Linux Gamecast.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We'll let you know about that in the future. So let's talk about building a handheld PC. Why? Because it's something we all want to do at some point for whatever reason. We don't know why we want to do it, but you're like, man, I bet I could build a little portable. And that's just what we had. And this is not called the Deck Kitty. No, it's the Dectility. There's other things I've misread that as well, but I'll let you use your imagination. This goes all the way through general idea. And I was like, oh, another. And I scroll down, like, look, there's two 18650s. And I'm like, oh, I've been at that phase of many a project. I'm like, all right, can I build a charge controller? Turns out you can. Sometimes the best palm top, because this guy, he's like, man, I was a fan of, you remember palm tops? Palm?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, right?
Yeah, I love my palm.
He wanted one that he could use himself. And the only downside to this, we're going to get somewhere. So what is this? It's using, you see the screen there. It's 800 by 480, which is touch. That's the BTT Pad 5, which is pretty cool. And again, it's powered by the two 18650s. The only downside to this, he's got the FLIR out. I mean, he's doing the engineering thing. It's like, is it going to melt? Which is, the answer is usually yes. And I love seeing stuff like that. Not melting, but just taking that. He custom designed MOSFET, because the first one looked a bit squirrely. Let me see. I think it's down here. Yeah, there it is. Look at that little green chunk. It's like, that looks a bit industrial, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Just cool. A little bit. And then I scrolled down and was like, oh, it looks like some of my soldering here on the right. Like, yep. So somebody after my own art 3D printed cases talks about you need to check things when, especially like battery compartments and containers for 3D, because you got to deal with the flux, and you don't want an 18650 lithium ion cell going up, because all you can do at that point is wait for it to go out. Here's some of the earlier prototypes. It's looking a bit rough, but I mean, all the parts are there. The wires are in one piece. This guy, after my own heart, he's like, hey, I want a little charging lead. What's the easiest way to do that? Fishing line. There's your cheapest fiber optics that you can get. You get some fishing line. Clip it, glue it, stick it on the top. Look, charge light. Done.
Yeah, amazing. Love That's awesome.
And look at it. Like, I'd carry that around.
Oh, like, absolutely, Vin. It's got a nice little screen on it too. And I think this is just, it's one of the nicest looking Raspberry Pi CyberDeck palm tops. Thus the name, Dectility. So it's a short for CyberDeck. Or I guess Steam Deck in modern terms.
What was
but CyberDeck. And what's interesting, Vin, is that it was one of his inspirations was over at Clockwork Pi, which we've talked about before. They're portable cyberdecks and computers, and it was based off the U console, but it wasn't available yet. So he made his own. That's so cool.
He's even got a thing on naming your project matters. While Dectility is probably not the best name out there, it's a good name because it's easy to remember. Fair enough. Like, what was that weird name thing? And it's unique. An online search, yeah, you can use ChatGPT to help you find a good name. Probably. Dectility refers to ductility utility, where ductility is a wink towards the way. Hey, he's a welder too. Hey, neat.
That makes sense.
There's a GitHub with all the stuff, or Arduino, but here's the like the womp sad part, which is, man, this irritates me more than it should. The Raspberry Pi requires its compute module 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it might as well not exist. You can't make one of these. Like, you can't even buy one. You can't even get a scalped compute module for right now. You either have one later on. But the GitHub has a full bill of materials, everything that you need to maybe one day put a compute module for it.
Yeah, nice.
Which is the only downside. And I hate having to bring that up. That bugs me.
I know. Hopefully by the end of the year, we won't have to make excuses.
But this is it. Like, do you really want like 4-year-old compute modules though?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of the big things coming back to it. Like, do you really want a Raspberry Pi 4 8 gig at this point? Like that's old tech, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'd be neat if they were back in stock for people who already have Raspberry Pis, but like, I kind of want a Raspberry Pi 5, something.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe make it rock chip powered like everything else, because those are
yeah.
good supply. Okay, everyone. Running a little bit long, but we had a lot to get through, and we're gonna call it a day, an evening, a morning, wherever you're at. So let's bring up music.
Yeah.
And roll some credits.
I like the new music, Ben. Thank you.
All right, I'll change it next week.
And thank you again to Euthanasia and Graf, our new patrons, and to Kai Linux for the awesome addition for Ven's studio.
24C.
24C.
The thing. I don't have words for it yet.
Yeah.
The thing.
Thank you to our wonderful patrons. Many of them are in chat right now, including Scott Scoots, Scott Machad, Strider, Machode. I'm sorry,
Machode?
Scott. I just messed up
Machad
your name.
and Machode. All right, maybe on the third try. Episode 376. Beautiful people, we will see you next week. Until then, have a great one.
Bye, everyone.
And I'm totally going to change this song.
Yeah. Yay.
Chod and
thank
Shode.
you, Steve Husband.
There's sorry, Scott Machode.
Yeah, Machode. I knew it, and then sometimes that happens when you go live, and it's like you just can't think right. Can't think of names right. It was hard when I was teaching full time. That was difficult, remembering several hundred students' names. Oh boy.
All right. What we got to do is keep everything well within Dunbar's number. If you don't know what Dunbar's number is, look it up. Help yourself out. Never say I'm not educational, because that'll teach you something. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Scott, that's not nice.
I never get to take any of Scott's classes. Still makes me sad.
Aw.
Ah, come on, Scott. It's Canada. They were like, hey, Mr. Buddy.
Aw. Yeah, Scoots. Well, I had I call you Scoots, but that's just because I've known you for years. We're friends, and
She just showed you why she calls
My
you that,
pet
man. She
name.
can't pronounce your name. She's just like,
well, growing up, it was yes, my name is Jill, and there actually are not that many Jills. It was very rare, even growing up. Everyone would say, "Oh, you're the first Jill I've ever met." Well, my brother happens to be named Jack, so Jack and Jill went up the hill. I'd hear it over and over and over and over again. But some people didn't know I had a brother Jack because he was older, just like the story goes. He was my older brother. He was 4 years older than me. So if I didn't tell anyone, they didn't know.
if you don't tell people you have a sibling they don't know, what do you expect them to be psychic?
Well, so I wouldn't get made fun of.
For having a sibling?
I had a whole classes doing Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water.
Of course,
Jack
Jill
and Jill.
kids are horrible.
Yeah. So
We were
me and
all
my
horrible
brother
children. It's embarrassing when you think about what you did as a kid. Everyone's like, oh man, like we all did some stuff. You're like, man.
Yeah.
Scott rhymes with a boat and Canadian? With boat and Canadian? Scoots? Oh, what?
Boot?
Steve, take more pills.
Yeah, scoots. Boot. Well, they say boot sometimes, I guess.
More pills, Steve. Fistful.
Yeah, redisc. Scoot?
Scout. I don't know.
That's a boot, right? Yeah. No, Scott, he would know how to say that correctly. I'm sure I'm not saying it correctly.
Canadians all have their interesting dialects. Like a good West Coast sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we have
Sometimes I have to look up what they mean, just like, oh, okay.
that's anybody from Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Yeah, every place has regional dialects. Every
Yeah.
place. And it's,
I mean, I have a hard time understanding really, the Southern draw because I'm not from the South. So I've had family from there. They have speaking the long draw, and I can never understand that. When it's really deep Southern. Oh, East Texas. Yeah.
I think English-wise, I don't have too much trouble deciphering too much English. You might see some like Bostonian type stuff.
Yeah, Boston, Maine. Yeah, sometimes they words seem to run together for me. I sometimes have to listen again, and then I get it.
And then you got you're not really going to encounter it here, but I had a nanny growing up, and that's why I say I can understand Scottish.
Oh,
which
okay.
is not Scottish. It's different. It's different. It's a new level of hard mode, which is still English technically, but man, you would not want to play Wheel of Fortune.
Drive safe.
What?
Oh, how funny. Huh, that's interesting.
Drive safe is something you tell people you're concerned about, or people that you know that can't drive good.
Yeah.
Like, hey, drive safe. Or say, hey, get in a fiery wreck and die. I mean,
Yeah.
What are you supposed to say? Like, drive okay? Drive good, drive bad?
Like they take it negatively, like you don't need to tell me to drive safe.
You know what? If
'cause
somebody
I already
takes
do.
that,
I know, it's strange.
I'm just going to be like, you know what? Consider this adversity training wheels. If that bugs you. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, just like take a compliment.
Yeah, Regis. Same here. It's a goodbye, especially here in Cali, where most everyone relies on driving cars, or even if they're going on the bus or the train. It's just polite.
Drive safe, yeah. Like, like, man, your life is going really well if something like that upsets you. That's all I'm saying. I'm kind of.
I know. I know. It's strange.
Like, can you believe somebody said drive safe to me today? I'm like, that's all you got going on? Man,
Yeah.
you're doing really good. Really good in life.
Yeah, Justin, here on the West Coast, it's taken as a compliment. Like, be safe, be well, be healthy, drive safe,
Unless it's your stupid friend that can't drive.
Yeah.
Then you're like, drive safe.
Like, I always tell Steven to drive safe, but he's one of the best drivers I know. But he knows I mean it out of love.
I think it's
Get there safely.
a pretty far stretch to ascribe malice to the phrase drive safe.
Yeah.
A little bit of a stretch. You're getting home safe. Take care.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't put that much energy into, like, like, bye. I mean, because you're running people like that. Like sometimes you're like, all right, I gotta leave. You're like, no. We need to spend 20 minutes saying our parting words. I'm like, nah, we don't. Bye. Click.
Yeah.
I'm good. Some people just like talking a lot. And that's cool. If I got time, I'll listen.
Ben's a good listener.
I don't say I pay attention. I say I listen. That's your life hack. There's your pro tip from Old Man Ben. It's like, be a good listener. Don't be a good payer or attentioner. Like, wait, what was that? I have no idea. None. That's something you always gotta like look out for. And I say this in like not necessarily a negative way. It's something I like to get out of the way because people ask for advice, and you always want to clear like right at the beginning. Like, do you really need some advice, or do you just need to vent?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times what people mean is, I just need to tell you what's going on, and they're just going to continue doing whatever they're doing for that situation. And there's some people like, all right, what should I do here? That's two different situations. And you can get really upset if you don't realize that. You're like, well, I told you how to stop that from happening, and you keep doing it. Well,
Hear no evil, see no evil, do no evil. But yeah, Scott, it went in one ear and out the other. But it went in one ear. I like that.
Make sure everything recorded good. Yeah, it looks like we got a happy little 76.86. Oh, 84 gigabyte file. Okay. That recorded good. That's saved. Yeah, we tried out, I was using a digital version, attempting to model a digital version of the analog system that you guys are listening to at home right now. On Linux Gamecast Weekly, I really put it to the test. Say about 80% there. It's about 80% there. Gonna require quite a bit more fiddling. Not using it right now. All right.
That's good redisk. That's a good way, good for managers to know that. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We got anything else going on?
Nah.
Going to go transmogrify some data bits, everybody. We're going to turn this into a show that people can watch and listen to. And then, if there's enough time, I'm going to open this box and plug it in, see if it works.
Oh, yeah.
And
exciting.
do the basic, like, do I need to RMA this immediately? You learn these lessons the first time. You're like, oh, yeah, I'll get around to doing that. When you finally get around to doing the thing, you plug it in, it doesn't work. I'm like, ooh. Probably should have checked that when it showed up. So I'm at least going to try to plug it in and see if it powers on.
Yes.
Should be fun. Should be good. And Xmas in Athens.
It's Christmas in Athens for Ben. Oh, you have a good Wednesday too, Arthurian and Justin. You're very welcome, and thank you for coming.
All right. Everybody drive safe. That's right.
Yes.
Drive safe. LGC cares. See you next week, everyone.
Bye, everyone.